Hey guys, welcome back. We have a full moon in Sagittarius that we're going to be discussing today. This moon, I do think, is going to make a big impact. I do think that there is a quality about the energy coming through right now that is likely to push us over some type of threshold. To me, this chart really is functioning as a bit of a cosmic wrecking ball to anything that is overly stagnant or obstructive or limiting in the context of what is being cosmically called to grow, evolve, ascend right now. So there are going to be disruptions to the status quo that come through as a result of this full moon in Sagittarius energy. The full moon is occurring on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, 7:44 Universal Time, 3:44 a.m. Eastern Time, and it's happening at exactly 20 degrees, 39 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius, where the moon is opposite the sun in the sign of Gemini. And we've got so much astrology that we need to get into as we look at the many ways that the energy of this full moon may be expressing. We have a series of very tight squares actually that are playing out and very involved in the way that this full moon is coming together. And we also have a grand trine in fire that is really lighting the fuse on the entire thing. And I feel like this full moon is very much in a lot of ways sort of like a force of nature. It is giving red flag tendencies to me. This could potentially be a quite accident prone energy to the extent that we literally have Mercury, the messenger planet, and ruling the current Gemini lunar cycle that we are in. We are in Gemini season, you guys. We are moving through our Gemini new moon cycle right now. The Sagittarius full moon is always the midpoint of our Gemini cycle, Gemini season, because Gemini and Sag are on a polarity to each other. They are oppositional points on an axis. So when we're moving through Gemini season, as we are, the full moon in Sagittarius is what we get, and that's what we've got going on now. And Mercury is ruling all of the energy generally because we are moving through Gemini season, ruled by Mercury, and also the sun is in the sign of Gemini right now as well. And Mercury is at 5 degrees of Cancer currently. That Sabian symbol is at a railroad crossing, and automobile is wrecked by a train. We also happen to have Mars and Uranus in a very tight square as this full moon plays out, and Mars is also in aspect to the full moon itself by trine, and Mars is also ruling the position of Saturn and Neptune right now, which we're going to be talking about, who are squared Jupiter, who is ruling the full moon itself. So Mars energy is real powerful as well in the context of this particular planetary configuration that we've got going on. And Mars square Uranus can also have a tendency of being a quite like accident prone energy. So I do think it is in all of our best interests out there understanding the nature of energy this week, and really over the course of this next several days and this next 2 weeks as this full moon energy plays out, doing what we can to kind of pace ourselves, right? Slow ourselves down, try to stay grounded. And also, this is a hyper emotionally reactive energy. We are talking about a full moon in Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. That's already these big feelings and these big emotions. And mind you, right now we have Jupiter, who is ruling this lunar situation, is ruling the full moon in Sagittarius at 0 degrees of Cancer. Jupiter just wrapped up his transit of the sign of Gemini, entered Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So right now, every time, and for the rest of the duration of Jupiter's transit through the sign of Cancer, every time that the moon goes into Sag, we will have a mutual reception playing out between the moon and Jupiter. Jupiter's in the sign of Cancer, the sign of the moon's in the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of Jupiter. They're in each other's sign. So this is also this very big emotional energy. Now, on one hand, I do think that this is helping us to keep probably a more like optimistic attitude, like feelings, emotions about some of the stuff that could be playing out right now. Like, this is definitely, I feel like, kind of like softening the blow of this energy, because Jupiter is, for the most part, blessings and positivity and wisdom and the bigger picture. It's like we do have this ability to kind of like emotionally perceive things from a broader perspective, which could make, on an emotional level, some of the stuff that we're moving through a bit easier. But I also think that it is indicating that like some true blessings in disguise are likely to come from this. We may not perceive things as too positive as they're like initially happening, but I think that over time we will come to find that we actually are grateful for a lot of the things that perhaps do suddenly change, shift, and or transpire now for some reason. And it is also, I think, emphasizing maybe what it is that we're actually learning, or what we have learned, and how that is propelling us forward somehow. Like maybe how that is assisting us in perhaps a process of overcoming the things that have been holding us back in the past. Because the thing about the Jupiterian energy right now, especially at that 0 degree of Cancer, and this is something quite significant that is, you know, impacting our chart, and also how things are likely to be playing themselves out there. Jupiter ruling this moon at that 0 degree of the sign of Cancer in the mutual reception with the moon is also in a near exact square, and will be in an exact square with Saturn and Neptune, who are also conjunct right now in the sign of Aries. That is one of the big squares that we have going on in association with our full moon chart, is this very tight cardinal square with Jupiter at 0 degrees of the sign of Cancer. Mercury is right there as well. Remember I said Mercury as the 5th Sabian symbol, which is 4 degrees of the sign of Cancer also. So we've got a Mercury-Jupiter conjunction, while Jupiter is in a mutual reception with the moon, and also in square to Saturn and Neptune. Now, Jupiter and Saturn in a square, and we're going to be talking more about this in the video for today as we get through the report, and also in upcoming videos throughout the course of the next several days. That dynamic always requires like some type of give and take. In order to expand and grow and succeed, the Jupiter energy, there needs to be some type of refinement, some type of surrender, some type of sacrifice, especially with Neptune right there as well. Like we have to let something go, like something old or something from the past needs to be released in order for a process of expansion and growth to occur. When we've got Saturn and we've got Jupiter in a square, that is the challenge, that's the conflict. It's like we can't have it every way. There has to be a give and take. And then we add the Mercury energy with Jupiter. It's like something that we are learning. And then the mutual reception with the moon is impacting the way that we're feeling. That I think is propelling us, or putting us in a position maybe with the way this lunar energy is coming through, where we have no choice besides to like proceed forward and part ways with maybe whatever it was that has been restricting, hindering, limiting, blocking, holding us back somehow. But that is what this is about, you guys. Like there is some type of restraint that needs to be busted out of in order for some very necessary fated process of growth to occur. And universe is here, large and in charge, with our Sagittarius cycle going on, providing exactly, essentially, I feel like the cosmic energetic tools to get that job done by way of another big square that we have going on out there for this full moon Sag, and that is the Mars-Uranus square. Mars is currently at 27 degrees of the sign of Leo, and we have Uranus right now at 29 degrees of the sign of Taurus. This is a building energy. It comes exact actually this weekend. So even as we move through the full moon, this energetic tension and things coming to a head, things coming to a perhaps snapping point, this very erratic, impulsive, reckless, accident-prone energy is still going to be probably quite palpable as we move through the energy of the weekend and into next week. I'm telling you, this full moon right here is lit. There is something also, like the whole thing feels like some type of active rebellion or revolution or revolt or protest going on. Literally, we also have the position of the sun, obviously in the polarity point to our full moon, important degree, 21 degrees of Gemini. That Sabian symbol is a tumultuous labor demonstration. And also the position of Jupiter ruling the full moon itself, at 0 degrees of Cancer. That Sabian symbol is on a ship. The sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. So in the Sabian symbols of the sun, the polarity point to the full moon, Mercury ruling the lunar cycle we're moving through right now, and Jupiter ruling the full moon itself, it's talking about perhaps like some type of crash type scenario going on, some type of tumultuous labor demonstration, like revolts, rebellions, protests. And on the ship, the sailors lower an old flag, raise a new one, like an active change of guard happening. And to me, that symbolism is so specifically aligned to the way that this entire, like all of these transits and aspects are coming together as well. I feel like the lid is getting blown off something with this, you guys. Like, this is a point of no return energy. The moon is bringing, as I said, like this Thor's hammer, you know, like the fury of the gods, like raining down on that which refuses to get out of the way and let growth happen. And things could honestly get messy. Now, as I said, the moon Jupiter mutual reception, I do feel, is a blessing, and Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer as well. So that's also a supportive force. These could be honestly like lucky breaks and stuff. Like, that's another way that this could go with that strong Jupiter moon mutual reception influence, considering there is such a like move fast and break things vibe going on here, which is the way, I can't remember if I said that or not, but like when I first sat down and looked at this chart, that was like immediately what hit me, like the impulse that hit me. I was like, oh, move fast and break things. That's what we're doing with this here full moon that we've got coming in. But yeah, with even that going on, the Jupiter moon could be bringing like these lucky breaks or these like strokes of luck or something somehow that is emotionally expansive or emotionally, could be bringing some like opportunities maybe that were very unexpected. Another thing that we need to keep in mind as we are proceeding through this report and getting into all of the variations of this energy and just, you know, how it's personally speaking to me, we need to remember that there is a, well, the full moon, another aspect that we have going on here is the full moon being in a grand mutable cross with the nodes of the moon. The full moon, as I said, is occurring at 21 degrees of Gemini via the Sabian symbol placement, 20 degrees, 30 minutes of the sign of Gemini and Sagittarius exactly. I meant to say Sagittarius a minute ago when I said Gemini. Gemini and Sagittarius, that's our polarity that we are working with a Gemini sun, Sag full moon. But the nodes of the moon right now, you guys, you know that they're translating through Pisces and Virgo, North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. Pisces, Virgo, Sag, Gem, those are the mutable signs. And the nodes right now are at 23/24 Sabian symbol degree of the signs of Pisces and Virgo. Therefore, we've got a 3-degree orb, grand, mutable square that is also playing out in the context of our full moon. That is a karmic turning, you guys. That's like a turning of the fates. That's a karmic release from something on one hand at some synchronized or divinely aligned time that promotes our ability to expand and grow. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. This is all about growth. This is all about expansion. It's about truth. It's about wisdom, and it's about blessings and good luck and stuff like that as well. But fundamentally, Jupiter has a lot to do with growth. It also has to do with our philosophy on life, and with Mercury there, what we're learning, and especially considering that Jupiter also just concluded his transit of the sign of Gemini that had been ongoing throughout the course of this past year. So there could have been something that broadened our minds somehow that we are like now taking with us as we move forward through this threshold and into this very, I think, radically different phase of life that we are all on the precipice of entering in one small way or a large way or another. Everybody is going through some type of personal evolution or upgrade in some capacity in some area of their lives, and it could be quite obvious where that is as we move through this energy and things perhaps are spontaneously combusting that we're realizing were preventing us from actually doing this, that, or the other thing that we may realize we have been feeling called to do, or something along those lines. But I do think, considering the volatile nature of energy right now, and you know, we've got a lot more to talk about as we move through this video, but we need to slow down, we need to stay grounded, we need to stay contained, trying our best to not overreact emotionally is probably going to be in our best interest, and people are not going to be doing that. People are going to be having very little self-control, very little restraint, very little impulse control. People are going to be going way overboard with just the things coming out of their mouth. People are going to be acting and behaving very unusually, very recklessly, very strangely. But the more that we can be conscious of the impact that this energy tends to have, and then like similar or simultaneously consciously maybe choose to try our best not to be hyper emotionally responsive and reactive, not to be provoked, to wait, you know, at least 10 minutes maybe before responding to that totally off the wall comment that that person just made. I just feel like it's going to be in our best interest if we can do our best to just consciously be aware of these tendencies and try to self-regulate despite the support that we are necessarily having right now to do that. But what I do, another thing that I very much do recommend in this energy, and I was talking about this in my last video, anything that we can like actively do to be the initiator of some type of change in our life or relationships right now, like to do things that we know are in our best interest. I think that we are going to find ourselves coming up against maybe less resistance, less pressure, and less of this like sudden combustion that is definitely represented by this energy. Mars squaring Uranus, that's another, again, one of these big squares that we've got going on. So let me just say, okay, the three squares that we have playing out are the grand mutable cross with the moon and the sun, both luminaries, and the nodes of the moon, destiny and karma. And then we've got the big cardinal square with Jupiter and Mercury in the beginning of Cancer and Saturn and Neptune in the beginning of Aries. Jupiter being the ruler of the Sag moon, that's extra relevant. And then we've got Mars and Uranus in this super tight square, and Mars is also in the aspect with the moon that is a grand fire trine that I think is one of these things that is kind of lighting the fuse and fueling a lot of this other energy. So we've got Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, cardinal square. We've got mutable grand cross, sun and moon, north and south nodes, and we've got Mars, we've got a fixed square as well with Mars in Leo squaring Uranus in the sign of Taurus. People are going to be flipping and changing on a dime with this. These are important course corrections that are happening now, and honestly, because of this grand cross with the nodes of the moon and Uranus being so actively with Mars, the active force involved here, a lot of this is honestly just going to be completely out of our control. This is extreme pressure being applied. If it is leaving your life right now, let it. Uranus makes the changes for us that we haven't been able to make for ourselves. This is literally like a force of the divine stepping in and altering the course of things somehow, and our best approach to this again is participating in that process, being open and receptive. That is what mutable energy does. We've got a grand cross and mutable signs. Squares require us to overcome something in order to proceed. In mutable signs, we need to be flexible, we need to be open, we need to be adaptable, we need to be willing to sort of embrace the change and actively participate in whatever alterations or course corrections it seems like are going on right now. We're being positioned for growth somehow, even if we do not see it on the surface. And Uranus is also, I mean, this is the lightning striking the tower energy. It's a lot of times it is, especially in the sign of Taurus, highly disruptive, highly disturbing. It can provoke a lot of like our worst fears and stuff like that in a lot of occasions and in a lot of situations. But what that does is it forces us to grow. Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. That's the sign of the builder. That is the sign of growth. If there has been a necessary course of growth that universe has been trying to initiate in our lives over this past actually 7-year period right now, and we haven't been able to get there for one reason or another, this is when it all blows up and we land on the path that is unobstructed in whatever that particular direction is. So this is gonna probably create some dynamic change that is likely to push us over some line in some regard. Okay, and check your chart. Let's talk about degree ranges for a minute. The full moon, as I said, is happening at 21 degrees of Sagittarius and Gemini. Then we have the nodes, as I said, at 24 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. Mars and Chiron are in an exact trine. I have not spoken about that dynamic yet. That is the grand trine in fire. I spoke about it in my last video. I'm going to talk about it a lot more as we move through this particular report, as well, as it is very relevant and involved in these ongoings that are playing out for our full moon. But those two planets are an exact trine at 27 degrees for our full moon. And then we have Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune between 0 and 5 degrees of cardinal signs. So just to make that more clear and reiterate, between 20 and 25-ish degrees of mutable signs. If you have important planets or points right there, you're in a direct hit of this energy. If you have planets between 20 and 30 degrees of fire signs, you are right in range of this grand trine in fire. You have a direct hit of this energy. If you have important planets or points between 0 and 5 degrees of cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, you are in a direct hit of this energy via that square going on with Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, and Mercury. So 20 to 25 mutable, Gemini, Sag, Pisces, Virgo. 20 to 30 fire signs, Leo, Sag, Aries. 0 to 5 cardinal signs. That is, those are kind of like the epicenter of where this energy is activating from. So check your chart, check your house placement. That will help you get a better idea of just maybe what you can personally expect in terms of the areas of life that this energy might be playing out for you in. But there is a whole story going on here. We need to talk about it. Something is being lit on fire. And again, to say nothing about the even the planets themselves, I always say, and I have found personally, one of the best ways to get an accurate idea of what's going on with any energetic blueprint, natal chart of this, that, or the other, is to uncover a repeating series of patterns. Okay, when we have the same energetic signature that is just being represented, no matter how we slice the pie, no matter what we're looking at, regardless of whether we're looking at the numerology or the symbolism or the aspects themselves or just the planets, like when each one of these things is telling the same story, then to me it's like a self-check that, okay, you know, there's a very clear theme going on here, and this is very purposeful, very specific, and it is telling a certain energetic story. And that is very, very much what we've got going on with this full moon in Sagittarius chart. Now, and I've already touched on this a bit, but before we even get into the in-depth interpretation of the transits associated with this full moon, what we have is 3 very tight, very powerful squares playing out, and a grand trine in fire, of which actually the full moon itself is a part. Now, just knowing that we've got a full moon going on that is featuring 3 powerful squares and a grand trine in fire, we know that there is some cosmic fuel coming through here to bust up some type of resistance or conflict or challenge or obstruction. And then we take it a step further and we apply the symbolism about the late tumultuous labor demonstration and the lowering of the old flag and raising the new flag. And then of course the degree about the automobile and the train. And now we have symbolism that seems to be functioning as kind of like an energetic equivalent to what the just transits themselves are also speaking to. Like, this is definitely a pressure oriented situation that is a little bit sketchy, and you know, we could see some type of combustion or collision or explosive or eruptive type of situations or scenarios going on. And then we bring in the fact that Jupiter ruling the full moon is in the square to Saturn, and Jupiter's in the sign of Cancer, and then Neptune is right there as well. Like, this is another layer to it. And like, on that note, real quick, I just want to say that specifically that square with the Mars Uranus and the grand trine in fire could be primed for some type of seismic or volcanic activity. Also wildfires, lightning strikes, powerful destructive storms that just like come out of nowhere could be a thing. And it's actually really wild because as I'm sitting here recording this video, I've actually got a couple things going on that seem to be really well reflecting this energy that I'm actually talking about, which is crazy. It's always, that happens to me a lot. Like, it's very, very weird. But like, for example, right now I'm recording this video about the heat being turned all the way up and just things being hot out there, and my air conditioning just went out, and so it's super, super hot. Like, I've got like my feet on an ice pack while I'm recording this video because it's super hot in here. And that makes me think, like, while you're watching this video, maybe there could be reasons why you're like really extra warm for some reason, but it is giving, I mean, we've got a grand trine and fire going on that is facilitating the spread of heat in that regard, and especially Mars in that trine facilitating the spread of heat, and Chiron is there as well. Haven't gotten into it yet. We've got a lot of time left in this video. We've got a lot of Chiron energy to talk about, but that can be in some occasions a damaging situation. Okay, we've got a trine. Trines are, you know, these are known to be the most positive, beneficial aspects in astrology, but really what they are is a facilitation of energy. There is, unlike a square, which provides or presents blockages and challenges, in a trine things are just flowing, baby. And when we got fire flowing together, and especially Mars and Leo right there, and the full moon in Sagittarius, and also Chiron, this could be like pain or wounding or destruction by fire somehow. Remember, we also have Saturn and Neptune and Aries, another fire sign ruled by Mars, who's in that square to Uranus. And then with square to Uranus, this is that accident prone energy, things happening suddenly, things coming out of nowhere. So please, like, I am, you know, imploring you to use caution if you're dealing with anything pertaining to fire or heat or flame or sharp objects and stuff like that as well around the time of this full moon, because there just could be issues that happen the way that all of these specific energies are tying themselves together. But yeah, so it's super hot while I'm recording this, which is very much in alignment with the way that this energy is likely to manifest. And I also just out of nowhere have this thunderstorm rolling in right now. It just got super dark, and it was like a nice sunny day when I started recording this video, and like throughout the course of the video, it's been like getting, I don't know if you guys can notice in the light, but it's been getting like darker and darker and darker. And now I can hear the thunder rolling in the distance. So yeah, that also makes me think that there could be some, I mean, not just that this type of energy would always cause, you know, a greater potential for like earth-based destructive storms and stuff like that, because again, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. That is the physical, that is the ground, that is, you know, the actual earth. Taurus is this fixed earth sign, and it's hitting Mars right there. That is making changes. And Mars can be, you know, a somewhat destructive influence when it is in a square. So there could be some weird, wild weather going on out there, you guys. There could be some storms rolling in. If you live in a place where there can be bad weather, or any place, because it seems more and more now that spontaneous weather happens everywhere, just a good time to be weather aware out there, you guys. Because some of this stuff could honestly come out of the blue. But it is, to me, also emphasizing like some geyser blowing unexpectedly, or maybe like a literal like undersea volcano or something like that that just starts erupting out of nowhere. Also, drive slow. Pay attention. People are going to be, I'm telling you, people are going to be road raging out there. This is a real good week to like stay off the beaten path if you can. Like, if there are a couple of different ways to get somewhere, and one takes you like right through the madness and one takes you around the nice scenic route to like the back end, maybe take a little bit more time to avoid some of this craziness, because I mean, it's high speed, it's clumsy, it's distracted. Try not to rush if you can help it. And again, it is just notoriously accident prone if we are getting ahead of ourselves, okay? If we are like jumping the gun, not being grounded, not paying attention, not thinking things through. Now, let's go back for a minute and talk about this grand mutable cross that we've got going on with the full moon and the nodes of the moon. This is a fated karmic point of transition and breakthrough being indicated by this particular energetic dynamic. Again, with the moon and Jupiter in their mutual reception, this I feel like could be indicating some lucky breaks that do come with this. There is an element of good fortune, or like internal faith, or a heightened intuition, or something like that, okay, that could be accompanying the things that are going on and playing out right now somehow. And with Mercury there as well, the fact that Mercury, of course, again, ruling this Gemini cycle, is conjunct Jupiter, who is ruling this full moon, and then also in that square though. And that square, remember, is what needs to be overcome, because we're talking about Jupiter ruling the Sag moon and the square to Saturn. Like, that right there seems to be the issue. And then the grand mutable cross, that's like the like a layer outside of that it's like, once we do that, we're crossing this threshold. And then it's like the cosmic support that's coming through to do that though is the Mars Uranus square, that is that wrecking ball energy, and also that grand trine and fire, which is that like energetic fuse that is lighting it all off somehow. So that's kind of how I'm seeing like the onion layer of the way that these transits are working together. It's like the fact that the moon is square the nodes, like that's what is happening. Like, there is this karmic cycle that's being broken, this threshold in this new direction towards expansion and growth that's being crossed. But to get there, we have this Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune square. We have to actually like learn or become aware of what that blockage has been somehow, or, you know, what limits need to be dissolved in order to also discover what is possible for us moving forward. This is a necessary ending in order for some type of growth to occur. Something about the structure of our paradigm is both breaking down and expanding through some growing knowledge or awareness that is actually setting us free somehow. This is like the ultimate chart, in my opinion, for the phrase or saying the truth will set you free. This entire chart is what that is essentially like boiling down to in a nutshell, you know, based in the fact that this is a Sag full moon, and Jupiter in Sagittarius is the archetype representing truth. And then we've got Mars and Uranus. Uranus is the other energy that is like demanding and requiring authenticity and truth, and is essentially willing to break the chains at any cost. And basically that's where we're at. Now, I do want to say one of the challenges that people might be encountering as a result of this square, and again, like therefore what we kind of gotta gain a realization of or come to understand or figure out how to move through or move beyond somehow, could be kind of really messing with our head a little bit, distorting our perception, making us question our reality perhaps, or even our role in it, as maybe we realize nothing is as we thought it was, and like now we need to redirect or like reconfigure and figure out how to move forward now that sort of like everything has changed. The actual position of the full moon itself is happening at 21 degrees of the sign of Sagittarius. That Sabian symbol is a child and a dog with borrowed eyeglasses. So to me, that symbolism for this full moon with everything else that we've got going on is an indication that perhaps there is a distortion in the way that we're seeing things. And then Mercury and Jupiter, ruler of the cycle, ruler of the moon, in a conjunction square Saturn and Neptune, that would sort of break down and distort our clarity and our perception of what is real and maybe what isn't. And I think that as a result of that, there could be a disorientation that we find ourselves experiencing as we move through this energy as well. And that honestly could be one of the reasons that people are sort of spinning out of control and losing it, and I don't know, doing whatever it is that they're going to be doing out there because of this just like seeming inability to get it together, understand or truly know what's happening. Got some big weird storm weather coming right now, so I'm like glancing out the window because it looks like it's getting close. We just actually got hit by a huge tornado a couple weeks ago when the sun conjuncted Uranus where I live. So now whenever I see a big storm coming, I'm like giving it the side eye, like, are you a storm or are you a monster tornado come to wreak destruction and havoc? So that's me giving that storm out there a side eye. It seems like it's going to be upon us in the next couple minutes, so you guys might start to hear some loud thunder or rain. But we're going to proceed with the video. Now, we have talked about the grand mutable cross. We have the tides are turning, right? This is the point of no return. We are crossing some threshold as a result of the way that things play out over this period of time. We've got to overcome something. We've got to break through something. Jupiter, Mercury, we've got to expand our mind or gain an awareness in a way that expands our entire horizons somehow. And that is also happening through what universe is providing us, this full moon, by way of the Mars energy, the Mars dynamic, which we have discussed. But now I'm going to get into some more detail, specifically the Mars Chiron dynamic, but also the Mars Uranus dynamic. I mean, when I see these three planets together, Mars, Chiron, and Uranus, to me, that is some cycle breaking energy right there. That's what that is. That is breaking the chains, breaking up stagnation, like things are going to shift. They are not going to remain this way at any cost type of energy. So the move fast and break things vibe that I was bringing up earlier, that to me is the way that this combination of Mars, Uranus, and Chiron is likely to function. And again, it's very fascinating because Mars, in his square to Uranus, in his trine to the moon, and Chiron is ruling the position of Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries, which if we go back to our like onion layer of transits that we have got going on, like that right there is one of the primary challenges that needs to be overcome. That is what this Mars Uranus square is applying itself to. It's like whatever resistance, stagnation, limitation, convention, tradition, past structure, past belief, whatever it is that's been like keeping us stagnant, not allowing us to go and grow the way that we need to be right now for whatever reason. Grand mutable square, the sun and the moon and the nodes, that's that destiny and karma. Whatever cycle we need to break, well, the universe is providing Mars, Uranus, and Chiron to do that job by way of Mars square Uranus and also by way of Mars exactly trine Chiron in his sign of Aries also for this full moon energy that we've got going on. So there is perhaps something that does need to be broken, and if that's the case, we have a demolition crew that is here to force that hand, force those changes to occur. With the Mars Chiron moon trine, that grand fire trine, that is some type of compulsion to act, okay? Like even if it hurts or it's painful or it triggers some old wounds somehow, there could be some type of, again, like almost seemingly fated or karmic emotional release that actively occurs or goes on right now that creates some major changes in our lives somehow and functions to heal maybe some old wound that had been functioning as a blockage to growth for us somehow, or to help us break some type of karmic cycle or karmic tie or toxic situation once and for all. That is what this energy is assisting us in doing, whether it doesn't even care though. Like it's not even necessarily going to make a clean cut here. Like it is severing ties in whatever way it is the most seemingly blunt and straightforward right here. So I would also be careful challenging people's ideas, challenging people's authority, especially challenging or criticizing people's creative efforts, especially if people have kind of like a big ego or are just feeling like really like pumped up or amped up about whatever it is that they're doing, saying, thinking, believing, or creating. With that Mars Leo energy as kind of like a catalyst point in all of this, in like the instantaneous response or just the sudden outburst of activity that could be coming here, that's the rain. Sorry that it got so loud all of a sudden. I got a tin roof and it is pouring out there. So we're listening to the sounds of nature right now, you guys. So I hope it's not like too loud or overwhelming. In terms of this energy though, like people with ego issues, people who have a sensitive ego with Mars there, if they feel like, and especially, you know, Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries, this could be criticism. Like if people feel like their ego is being wounded, their creative self-expression is not being taken seriously or is being questioned or something like that, this is really something that could very, very much provoke people in this specific energy with Mars in the sign of Leo. Now, unfortunately, along those same lines, I think this very thing is what is going to be stirring a lot of people up and causing a lot of these explosive reactions that go on, because remember, we also have Mercury and Jupiter in a conjunction in the sign of Cancer. This is big feelings, big emotions. Got a Sag moon going on, the moon and Jupiter in a mutual reception with each other. On one hand, this can also be sort of like God complex, know-it-all energy. Mercury verbalizes things. People are going to have a lot to say. And then square Saturn, this could be some criticism that's coming through here as well. I do think that we are better suited being like the crab in this energy, being the hermit if we can, focusing on, again, like making positive, productive changes, actively participating in ways that we can change our home, our family, our relationships perhaps, lifestyles, living space, just our whole life generally, projects that we're involved in, creative endeavors, making upgrades, making changes, and participating consciously in it to various areas of our lives is what is going to be happening anyways. So if we are just engaging in that, again, less likely to meet the same level of just upheaval, disturbance that may be present if we are avoiding or, you know, resisting these changes that are going on. For best results, channel your energy into your own well-being this full moon and avoid the drama if you can, and avoid the oversharing, the over-opinionated nature. This will probably be, again, like a very opinionated moon. A lot of people will probably have a lot of things to say about a lot of things. I think both sides, we're dealing with squares, we're dealing with Gemini season, we've got duality, we've got polarity, we've got conflicting ideas and viewpoints, we've got an overinflated sense of what we know and our philosophies on things. And I do think a lot of people could really be clashing, I almost said crashing, philosophically. And I just think that like ego situations could be driving a lot of the conflict and rash behavior. And also, again, like these very fueled, emotionally fueled reactions to things. Yeah, so I don't recommend oversharing right now, you guys. It is not our friend in this energy. Lots of people are going to be emoting, trauma dumping, as I was talking in my last video, like crazy. This is very emotionally triggering and reactive and verbalizing about it. But Mercury, Jupiter square Saturn, Neptune, this is just not winning the prize, okay? People are probably just going to get more set off, more spun out, and or be critical in ways that just doesn't help. There is, to me, no indicated benefit of really speaking our mind or oversharing too much in this energy, unless, you guys, it is so important that you really feel compelled to speak on it as a conscious matter of catalyst for change. If this is the time, this is the moment, you know what needs to be said in order for such or this and such or some specific result to take place, then yeah, and you know that something's going to happen if you say that, and you know that you need to say that because this is when it needs to happen, then of course that's what this energy is like specifically for. But I just, we don't want to be provoked, and we don't want to be provoking people, and people are going to be extra emotionally sensitive, especially to anything that they are like aligning the self with. And right now, the self is represented by Mars in the sign of Leo. That has to do with personal creative self-expression, and also like our emotions and our feelings, and also anywhere that people perhaps have been personally wounded, or like insecurities and vulnerabilities. Poking into those is not going to go well in this type of energy as well. Okay, so that's, the Mars Chiron element of things. That is, on one hand, it is providing this opportunity for some type of true emotional healing, release, the end of some type of karmic cycle. On the other hand, it could be triggering emotional wounds that are catalyst for some type of abrupt action that really changes the game somehow in a way that is just cosmically mandated right now, the mutable square with the nodes, and helps us in a process of overcoming some challenge, defying some tradition or convention or authority or limitation or blockage or restriction or boundary from the past that is required in order for us to somehow grow, expand, or move forward. And there could also be a strong sense of disorientation even about the direction. Ooh, sorry you guys, there's a lightning strike right there. Anyways, see, this is what I'm talking about. The Uranus energy speaking through this video right now that's coming out on this day. Even though I'm not recording the video, I'm recording today is Friday, June 6th, I think, is when I'm recording this video, and I've got all of these like excessive heat and lightning strike and sudden storm coming out of nowhere going on just while I happen to be recording this video. So you guys are getting your own little microcosm of the macrocosm that will be unfolding perhaps in a couple of days when this video actually is meant to come out. So anyways, now I'm like personally a little bit frazzled. Okay, hold on, let me get my head back on track. Yes, so anyways, I was preparing to move on and begin speaking about the Mars-Uranus square anyways, which, as I've already stated several times, to me this is the like the support team that's being brought in to make sure that things that tower comes down. Okay, this is as I keep referring to it, the cosmic wrecking ball energy that is perhaps needed to unlock or free whatever it is that has been fixed in place or stagnant or stunting growth. And then that Chiron energy would be maybe the fuse that's lighting it, kicking up those feelings, you know, pushing on those wounds, bringing us to this point of necessary healing in order so this abrupt change can take place. I don't know, you guys, that's just how it looks to me. How we've been hurt, how we are actively being hurt, or some also maybe like collective trauma or wound, painful event. I do think on that note that we do have a greater potential in an energetic environment like this for some type of significant events or acts of violence to occur. Also, as I was mentioning earlier, explosions, eruptions, and crashes of all kinds could be indicated here. Another way that this Mars-Uranus square could most definitely present itself could be in the form of something to do with financial markets or currencies, assets and value as well. I would not be surprised if there was some type of surprising financial, economic, or like valuation change that suddenly occurs with energy like this going on, or, you know, revaluations perhaps, or just generally disruptions, or maybe even crashes that go along with whatever other things are unfolding right now. This is also impacting and busting up partnerships, alliances, commitments, and investments. Things that have been certain, things that have been fixed, things that felt reliable, things that have felt stable. Again, anything that is out of alignment with authentic value. Anything that is lacking authenticity generally, or that is functioning as a blockage to growth right now, that is what is being broken up, that is what is being dismantled, that is what is being removed. So whether it's in the context of a financial vehicle, whether it's in the context of a relationship or a partnership dynamic, whether it's in the context of some type of tradition or convention or framework or process or procedure or structure somehow that things have adhered to that just isn't working anymore, or whether also in the sign of Taurus, it could very much also be related to things to do with food or agriculture, farming, resources, things along those lines as well. I also think there could be something like crypto or wealth transfer related that maybe happens as we move throughout this particular energetic window. It is assisting us, Mercury and Jupiter there together, to see and perceive what it is that's been holding us back, and then to take radical action to remove it. And if we don't do it ourselves, it's going to be probably happening anyways. I also think that we could see some sudden changes in government and leadership. Mars is in the sign of Leo. This is also having to do with like kings and elite and influencers and stuff like that. There could be some real weird, bizarre behavior that's going on with like the rich and famous, or like the, like the elites, or just leadership generally while we move through this. So keep your eye on the tabloids, you guys. There could be some real crazy, just like cultural figure stuff imploding, melting down, spazzing out, exploding. So it'll be interesting to see that. But as I said, I just saw another lightning strike, so I might get another loud thunderclap, trying to be prepared for it this time. A Sagittarius moon trine Mars and Chiron, with Mars squaring Uranus and Jupiter and Mercury squaring Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries. As I mentioned earlier, like, this is the ultimate, the truth will set you free chart, even if it's painful, even if it's scary, even if we didn't plan it, even if it hurts. It is sort of by any means necessary, I think, because it like has to be that way at this time. It's like universe is really speaking right now through the astrology, and what it spells out is that it's time. And if you don't jump, I'm going to push you, but you're going to learn to fly. That's what this is. This is growth essentially by any means necessary, whether we are willing participants in it or not. Anything out of alignment with authenticity, functioning as a blockage to growth, is going to go, whether we agree to it, whether we see it that way, whether it goes kicking and screaming or not. Like, this is the time. So if you find yourself in circumstances where you're vibing with that and it just seems like that type of thing is going on for you, again, doing the best that we can to adapt to the changing circumstances, to understand that there is a greater level of karma and fate like involved in this. Like, this is, it's not just like an average Wednesday. This is a critical like life turning moment for a lot of people, especially people, again, with planets getting direct hits in those degree ranges, being aligned or coming into alignment with the full moon and all the energy involved, but on a collective level as well. And it is speaking collectively because the nodes of the moon are involved, and we're talking about the Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. That is ruled by the moon. The moon rules the collective energy. It rules the public. This is a public reemergence of potential somehow through overcoming previous limitations that were set in place in the past. Maybe through past trauma, maybe through a distorted sense of self-perception. It could be a lot, but that is just what this seems to be. And this is actively rebellious. This is actively revolutionary energy. People, again, are going to be revolting against specifically control and oppression. I would not be surprised if we do see like government protests or just like people being fueled into action somehow. And also truths are going to be revealed. Mercury and Jupiter there. This is a growing public awareness of something that cannot continue to persist if we're gonna grow and if we're gonna be successful moving into the future, or if we're gonna be able to like make this shift and start going in a new direction. So whether we're talking about an individual personal life or whether we're talking about an overall unfolding collective story, again, this is all like nudging us more and more and more into the new age of Aquarius energy coming in. Like, this is a paradigm shifting moon that we've got coming in here. And we're probably all going to be feeling it in some way. Now, again, just to reiterate some of these Sabian symbols and add a few additional symbols, just because they fit so well with the overall energetic blueprint. We have the sun at 21 Gemini. That is a tumultuous labor demonstration. Jupiter 0 Cancer on a ship. The sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. Mercury at 5 Cancer at a railroad crossing. An automobile is wrecked by a train. We also have Mars and Chiron, right, in their exact trine. 27 degrees of Leo where Mars is. That Sabian symbol is daybreak, the luminescence of dawn on the eastern horizon, on the verge of something brand new. A whole new day, like a rebirth is emerging. And then Chiron at I've been saying this is one of my favorite symbols of the whole zodiac, and with Chiron being at this degree, to me it makes it make even more sense. Okay, like, it may be difficult, it may be painful, it may be bringing up past wounds and traumas, it may really be triggering us, but Chiron's at 27 Aries. That Sabian symbol is through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. And I do think that this is putting us in a place to regain maybe some opportunities that we felt were lost to us, or to realign ourselves with a latent potential that maybe had always been seeking to emerge within us, but somehow we neglected or were detached from or refused to recognize for some reason, suddenly being what our whole life is orienting itself around. There is a purpose that is seeking to emerge here, a lost opportunity seeking to be regained. And then we've got the position of the full moon, a child and a dog with borrowed eyeglasses. I do think there's a distortion in our field of perception. We can't necessarily see clearly all that's happening right now. We may have a bit of a naive perspective of the gravity and the nature of all that's really transpiring and going on, but this is blessings in disguise, you guys. Uranus is a silver lining planet. Uranus brings blessings in disguise. Uranus is a cycle breaker. Uranus is like all over. Uranus is the cosmic support team coming in here right now to, again, like force our hand, boot us out of the nest if we're unable for whatever reason to do that ourselves. And we've got a moon and Jupiter in mutual reception. This has been a strange video, you guys. I don't know if you've noticed, but this has been a wild ride recording this video today. Anyways, moon and Jupiter in mutual reception. Okay, this is like there is emotional support there. Have faith. The divine is really truly, like, universe is playing a hand in this. Things are working in our benefit, even if we can't discern it that way right now. But things are changing. Obstructions, you guys, obstructions are being removed. Lost opportunities, as I said, that Chiron degree are in the process of being regained. This is all incredibly purposeful, and my recommendation, be an active force of conscious change in your own life and world. So that's what I think, you guys. That's what I have to say about this video. And on that, I am going to conclude. I am going to draw one more synchronicity card, or I'm going to draw us a synchronicity card and get one more piece of guidance or advice that is going to benefit us to keep in mind as we do move through this full moon energy. What is some just additional guidance that we should be aware of, or that we should tell ourselves, or something as we move? We actually got 2 cards today, interestingly enough, and they're both kind of saying the same thing, but we've got God's the boss, okay, and we got keep the faith, which is what I was like literally specifically saying a minute ago. Like, there's a higher power. Like, a lot of this, honestly, it is this like destiny oriented energy. It is this like galactic fixer, universe intervening, divine intervention type of energy. A lot of the stuff that's going on in the context of this chart as it plays out may be totally out of our control. And if that's the case, all that we can do is surrender to the changes with the faith that, you know, things are purposeful, and that ultimately this is putting us in a place where we're going to be better for some reason, somehow. God's the boss. Who then is that faithful and wise steward? Luke 12:42. You must do your job joyously and faithfully in the knowledge that God is your boss. There's that Moon Jupiter mutual reception right there. Your subconscious will then respond and promote you and remove obstacles to your success. Obstructions removed, right? Like, literally. Saturn squared Jupiter. That is about the process of figuring out how to remove obstacles to our success. Have a constructive vision. Saturn and Neptune together. Be faithful in your vision, okay? Show respect for authority and you will be prospered along all lines. This is like 10 out of 10. Perfect guidance for the way that I'm perceiving this full moon. And then we have the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalms 23:1. It literally says, sorry, I'm just going back to this other card, you will be prospered along all lines. Like, Moon, Jupiter, mutual reception. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to say it again, 10 out of 10 on that card. Now, keep the faith. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God is within you and watching over you. You will see evidence of this fact in your life very soon. If you cannot see it right this very second, go on forward with confidence. Everything is working together for your good right now. So I don't need to utter another word, you guys. That sums it up, rounds it out, closes things off, seals the deal, I would say, quite exquisitely. So that's what I'm going to say. Those are our messages. God's the boss. Keep the faith. You guys know how I feel about things, and I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I truly value your contributions to my channel. I really appreciate it when you let me know what's going on with you guys out there. If you are having experiences that resonate with what I'm talking about, please drop me a comment in my comment section below. On that note, I should probably make a comment to you guys and let you know this full moon is actually 21 Sag. That is the exact degree of my natal Uranus placement. And as I told you earlier, I'm recording this video before the actual day when this video happens. So I don't know what's going to go on next week, you guys, for me when this full moon goes on. But just because I'm seeing that right now, it makes me think there's a chance that there could be some weird stuff going on, or something could be a bit off with my schedule. So there could be some disruptions in the videos next week. And I'm telling you that now, because if I don't tell you that now, because I record these videos like with such a lag, then you won't know until there's like not a video. So hopefully not. Hopefully everything just hums right along. And just saw another huge lightning strike, fork of lightning right out that window as I was saying that. So I don't know, you guys, we'll see. Hopefully I'll be back with all my 3 videos that I record next week without any major disruptions, but letting you know that if you don't see me next week, the week after this video comes out, that is why. It's because I've also got degree range, direct hit degree ranges going on, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do out there as well. So anyways, I'm going to stop talking now and get off this video. Come back with me on Friday, you guys. We're going to be, the feature of our Friday video is going to be the Mars-Uranus square. As I said, it is building exact and actually comes into the exact square alignment Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So we do have more of this, you know, volatility, dynamism, active change type of energy that is going to be very much still turned on as we move through the weekend, and I will be back to talk more about it and everything else that we've got playing out alongside it this weekend. You should come too. You don't want to miss it, and I will see you next time, you guys. Have a beautiful full moon, and until then, bye.